What's up, everybody? Let me get this at you real quick. Listen, men's diets are really falling behind. Over 70% of men don't get enough vitamin E, and up to 97% of men don't get enough vitamin D from their diet. I actually went to see my doctor about a year ago, and I did not get enough vitamin D, despite the fact that I live at the beach and work in the desert 90% of the time. Vitamin D is something you need, and most humans just don't get. But really, most men overvalue exercise and undervalue nutrition and think if I look healthy, then I am healthy. But there's more to health than meets the eye, folks. Ritual is introducing Essential for Men, the obsessively researched multivitamin that's formulated to help fill nutritional gaps in men's diets. Listen, I ate vegetables, I exercised, and yet I was still deficient in the vitamins. Multivitamins really got that going, and now my most recent doctor checkup, I am good to go. And there is no better time to get your vitamins in line than right now. You know why, people. Ritual is your new type of two-a-day. From helping support heart health, normal muscle function, and normal immune function, this tiny step can have a big impact. These vegan-friendly, non-GMO, sugar-free, gluten-free, and allergen-free multivitamins are traceable because where it's from is just as important as what it's for. This subscription-based supplement, it's easy to start, it's easy to snooze. Only about $1 a day to have essential nutrients delivered to your door. Step up your nutrient game with Essential for Men. Get 10% off your first 3 months when you visit ritual.com/TST and start your ritual today. That's 10% off during your first 3 months at ritual.com/TST. Also, we're brought to you by AutoTempest.com. AutoTempest has been with us for a really long time, and now they are finally going huge into the paint with a new show hosted by me, Rob Ferretti, and Amelia Hartford, and featuring Tanner Faust as our tame racing driver. And the show is called Sorted. It's coming soon to YouTube. We're filming the first episode this next week, actually, at Palm Beach International Raceway in Florida, and then the California West Coast Regional after that. We are looking for the best, most sorted, home-built tuner car in America. And you can check that out at sortedornot.com. In the meantime, if you're looking to build a project car, AutoTempest is the place to start. Why? It searches the whole internet for that car, right? Cars.com, Cars Direct, Cars Soup, eBay Motors, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, you name it, AutoTempest.com covers it. So we really thank them for sponsoring our new show, Sorted, which you can learn about at sortedornot.com, and then you can get your own project car at AutoTempest.com. All right, on this episode, we're taking a little bit of a turn from our normal directions. We've got Dantley Davis on the show. Dantley is the director of research at Twitter. He's actually the number 3, I believe, person at Twitter, and he's really responsible for how the user interface looks, the design of the system, both on the phone and the web. He is a man of power and status in this world. And he's talking to us about not just social media. Turns out the dude is way into cars and RC airplanes. So we're going to nerd out on some jet engines, some cars, some motorcycles, and talk about social media. It's Dantley Davis on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Dantley, cheers, sir. Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. How are you? Oh, what do you got there?
Good.
Something dark brown.
It's bourbon. I'm not sure what it is. It was given to me by my wife.
All right. I hope your wife has good taste.
She does.
Because we open. Oh yeah, mine too. We should talk about my wife, who works for you at Twitter, because if nothing else, I'm sure you know that she is. She hates nothing more than people talking about her without her being around. And
sure.
Man, it just to hear, even if we only say nice things, and even if it's only for 30 or 40 seconds, it will make her squirm.
No, I'm sure her ears are burning right now.
I know, just to hear the name Hannah talking to you, her superior at Twitter, which is interesting. No, thanks for doing the show, man. I appreciate it. I think you're at a really interesting company at a really interesting time to be there.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
What is are you a tech person? Are you a design person? You know, because I think one thing I've learned from my wife is that not everybody who works at tech companies are tech people these days. So what's
Yeah,
your story?
I'm a designer, but I got my start in design and tech through being a programmer and a designer. I used to do both early in my life, and then I made a choice to focus on design.
But so it's the overall aesthetic of the user experience is what we're talking about here.
That's right. The aesthetic of the interface, how it works, what we call the interaction of the UI, the flow, and the overall user experience in terms of how people interact and engage with Twitter as a service.
Okay, so it's I think. Were you when you first started working at Twitter? Were you a Twitter user?
I was a light user and a lurker. I was not tweeting a whole lot. I've been on the service I think since '08, but I wasn't a heavy user.
And what about now? Do you tweet more or less now?
Much more now. I found my jam on Twitter. So
Really?
now I have a lot to say.
What's your Twitter personality?
I speak up about things that are happening in tech, my team, recruiting, the lack of diversity that we see in tech,
Oh, yeah.
some of the policies related to tech companies. Some things are spicy, some things are more collaborative and
Yeah.
on the recruiting side.
Well, do you use other social networks for other, like I use Instagram literally because I like photography, and so I put my photography on Instagram, and I also use it to promote my own stuff more, whereas Twitter is like almost like my political news, you know.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like real-time news aggregation is kind of what I use Twitter for, you know.
I used to use Instagram a lot. I used to work at Facebook. So when I worked at Facebook, I used Instagram. I no longer work at Facebook. I don't really use Instagram much.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to make you dive into that one, but no. But Twitter is, you know, I think it's the most minimalist of the social networks, right? You could do the least on it, right? You're constricted with characters. You're restricted in certain things. So what are the real thought processes that go into the design and the layout and the user experience of something that really should be very, very simple?
So ultimately, what we're trying to do is enable people to have conversations in public on Twitter. We think that this enables experts and people who are trying to learn about a topic interact in the same space, and hopefully you're advancing a particular conversation. And that can be about politics, it could be about entertainment, it can be about astrology. There's many different Twitters, and I think that's a core thesis behind the service is about public conversation, and that's what we focus on.
It's an interesting way to have a public conversation because on the one hand, the shortening of the character limits force you to not waste words and characters, but they limit a lot of the opportunity for nuance. And if you aren't the type of person that is comfortable reading a tweet, reading a headline, and then going further and reading the whole article, I feel like it's almost maybe making us more ADD if you don't take that personal opportunity to read further. You know, what do you think about that?
I think that there's creativity that comes through constraints. Having 280 characters makes you very thoughtful in terms of how you write. And
they make some people more
in
thoughtful.
some cases.
Yeah. Some people
cases.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah,
Other people,
and other people just type away without giving much thought to what they're saying. I do think that there's a skill to composing a really good tweet. And because of that constraint, it takes time. And I'm personally looking for ways of enabling deeper conversation to happen on the service and lowering the barrier to entry for communication. We hear quite often, and I'm sure your wife can speak to this as well, given her role as a researcher, that for some people, the they just don't have the gift of writing or the gift of even time to think about how to compose that right message to go out into the public for everyone to judge it in some ways. So we're thinking about that quite a bit, both in terms of rich media like photos and videos, as well as text formats that enable people to have more depth in terms of what they're saying on the platform.
Yeah, that's interesting. Text formats that allow people to have more depth in terms of what they're saying. Does that mean in terms of adding more like visual stylistic elements to the words themselves, or does that mean what, like more emojis, or like where are we going with that?
We have a team that's focused on creation, and they're thinking about all those things. There's if you're just using text, and let's just say, white text on a black background, and you are upset, you have to use words to communicate that emotion. There are visual ways of communicating mood and intention and how you might be feeling in that moment, in creative ways. And so the team is thinking about how that might manifest itself on Twitter.
I really think Twitter does, this is going to sound incredibly obvious and stupid almost, but Twitter really lends itself to people who are very good writers. I've started following people on Twitter because I liked their tweets, and I've ended up buying their books and found out that, oh, wow, these people in long format are just as good. It's very rare that someone is good enough to be great on Twitter and then can't write a book afterwards. It doesn't usually go that way, right? Whereas you could be good at long form, but maybe not so good at the short form.
Yeah, and I think if you're good at long form and you understand Twitter as a format, you start to practice how you get your message across in the constraint. And we also, as you know, offer a format called a tweet storm, where you basically break up your tweet into a long tweet into multiple tweets. Once again, it takes skill, because there's a continuity that you need for your reader to go from one tweet to the next.
They kind of need to stand alone as well.
Yeah,
it's more than just a
exactly.
paragraph break. It's like if someone just found tweet 7 in your thread, does that make sense on its own? Yeah, it's another skill. Yeah. But it's good that actually the adding of that plus one more, plus one more, plus one more, that's very helpful. That was a good one. So
what's a cool thing the users kind of figure out is they'll add a 1 to the end of their tweet, and then you go, okay, that's 1 of 2. And it's just like it became a thing, and it became how people did it. And now people can put out a 16-tweet thread.
I like the one that goes the other way, too. The one that turns the threads back into blog posts.
Oh, the unroll?
The unroll one. I like that one too. I follow a lot of the Twitter philosophers, and I don't want to dig, so I go back. I reverse it. Well,
we find a lot of really great innovation comes from Twitter users, and they'll hack the platform in certain ways or find their own shortcuts, and it inspires us to think about how we can improve our format to be that much easier for folks.
Yeah, I imagine that add one tweet to your thread function was the result of enough people fumbling around finding their own way to do it that we said, all right, we should really standardize this at this point. Yeah. So, Twitter and other social media networks. I just have you seen The Social Doctrine yet? The documentary?
I've watched parts of it. I've had a lot of conversations about it.
I'm sure you have. I asked Hannah if there's a Slack thread on it yet. She said there was. She said that they're discussing it. Well, I think it does a good job, I think, of, and if those of you haven't seen it, I think it's probably a good watch, just in general. Especially I want to show it to my parents, because I think people that haven't grown up with the tech don't really understand the nuance of targeted advertising and of all this kind of stuff, and how the internet can follow you around, and how that can help you in certain things and make your life more convenient. And like they say, magic, you press a button on your phone and a car arrives to take you to the airport. That's amazing. But also, surveillance capitalism is a problem. The opportunity for abuse by hostile players, be that governments or hacking groups or bots or whatever. So where do you think the balance is right now in between social media, and specifically Twitter, is a force for good, and Twitter is right on the edge of maybe of almost falling into the abyss of being evil?
I think that each of these platforms are weaponized for bad purposes, and unfortunately, the early mechanics, I think, were probably more focused on sunshine and puppies and all the nice things that we imagine with technology, and not considering the unintended consequences. And I'm being nice, because even in those early days, there were voices that were speaking about how these platforms could be used for negative purposes, but no one had really seen these platforms at this scale back in the early days. So a lot of it is probably more theoretical and academic. Yeah. But now we're at the point where we see it.
Wouldn't it be crazy if elections weren't fair anymore because of us? Yeah, that would be fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, it is a sad state.
No, I go back in the documentary, the social. Not that I'm taking this documentary at 100% face value. I'm not, but just something that was brought up was the guy who claims to have invented the like button. He goes, we were trying to spread positivity, and say, look at all these people, they're liking this stuff. We never thought that preteens would be hanging themselves in their garage because their photo didn't get enough likes, or someone else has got more, or they equate the number of followers with a social status, although that one probably they could have seen coming, frankly.
Yeah.
But it's unintended consequences, but you almost go, well, man, if you guys brought some more perspectives into the room, these might have been obvious, to people other than mid-20s engineer people trying to get laid. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah. Yes. And some of the early founders have stated that they wish that there were more diverse perspectives in the room. It's no secret that in almost all cases, it was just white men who were making decisions. And over time, the audience became more diverse ethnically, economically, in age and gender. And those early considerations weren't factored into the design of these systems.
Yeah, I think the most pronounced one of those where it was the most egregious, I think, was when Apple came out with Face ID, and any Asian face would open any other Asian face's phone. Wow, you guys really fucked up on this one. It's all based on the one Asian dude who they had in the room that time. Shit.
I mean, just to expand on that, I worked on facial recognition AI systems in a past life, and I saw the data sets which they were training the AI technology for, and they were all white males mostly. And I'm half Black, half Korean, and I grew up on military bases throughout my adolescence, so I was just surrounded by all types of different people, and so I made the process inclusive of people who were different than that initial data set, so that way the product would actually work better. And the product had to service a global audience.
Yeah.
So it had to work better. I mean, otherwise it's just going to be a business failure.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have worked at all. It seems pretty obvious that would not have worked at all. You were in what, Air Force as well, right? Yourself?
I was not. My plan was to be a pilot in the Air Force, and I was in ROTC in college. My wife is retired major in the Air Force.
Oh, cool! That's awesome. When did she retire?
2 years ago.
Oh, so did she see tours?
She did. She was in Iraq. She did 3 tours during the Iraq War, and she's a nurse, so she saw some pretty gnarly stuff.
Wow. Well, thank you on our behalf there. Back to the topic at hand. So the platforms have been weaponized, but is it it's not too late, right? It could be saved, right? I think it's not too late.
I want to hope it's not too late, because a huge part of what I and my team spends our time on is making the platform equitable, and anticipating what might happen in terms of bad actors weaponizing these systems, and trying to make a social media environment that is considerate of these bad situations from jump for all features that we're focused on moving forward. So my hope is that we can turn things around.
Yeah, what can you, if you have offhand, and I don't expect you to be exact with it, how much easier is it to spread false information on social media than to spread true information, or to fact check that information afterwards? I mean, it seems like it's like way easier. No matter what political side of the spectrum you lean on, it seems like confirmation bias information spreading via either leading headlines or editorials that turn kind of non-news into news, right? It seems like it's so much easier to spread that than the boring, dull truth, right?
Well, the mechanics of technology enables anything to be much easier to spread. If you and I were hanging out at Cars and Coffee and we took a photo of, some really cool car that we saw, today we could share that a lot easier than we could, 15 years ago when we had our little, cameras with SD cards. So everything becomes easier to share. And the question that we're wrestling with is, how do you provide context to people so that they understand what they're sharing and the implications of what they're sharing? And then when things are identified as misinformation, how do you let people know so they can make informed decisions?
Yeah.
And as you know, there's bias in context setting across news and information that's being shared, and there's just an abundance of information overload that happens from consumers trying to discern truth from fiction, and I think technology companies today, because they know that's the problem, are making more concerted efforts to actually try and provide that context.
Well, I do think, I'm not kissing your ass here, but I do think that Twitter is probably the most introspective of the major social networks, right? Like, I don't know about you, but to me, Zuckerberg comes off as a fucking sociopath robot, right? Twitter, at least, I don't think they're perfect, but I do think that what Jack Dorsey has said about learning from mistakes and actually trying to listen to people and take steps to improve, I think is a rare non-double down. You know what I mean? It's it's non-defensive backing into a corner. And it seems like that, there's been some Trump fact checks, and some stuff like that seems to at least indicate outwardly that maybe progress is happening, at least at Twitter, which is good.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Real quick, do you guys employ, especially now that you've grown, do you employ like psychologists or psychiatrists, people that understand human behavior? Because I know there was a study recently that showed that like a lie going around social media that is propagated on fear, it activates a different part of kind of our inner self than if it was like what you were saying, Matt, like a calm truth.
Right.
It doesn't really get the clicks and attention because it doesn't initiate our fear response.
It's all about sucking you in, giving you that hit of dopamine or whatever. Like, now I'm angry. Fuck.
Right, and that'll get shared much more quickly.
Yeah.
Do you guys employ people that are kind of thinking on that level and looking at how that can influence your designs and your tech and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. We have a number of people on our team that have PhDs and specializations in social science, and that's what they focus on. They take our work and they're both doing short-term evaluation in terms of impact and also doing long-term thinking in terms of societal influence and impact on the work that we're doing. It's a core part of how we think about product development at Twitter.
Given what you know about algorithms and design and how the change in an algorithm or design can affect human behavior, what do you think about, the possibilities of maybe in our lifetimes, a self-driving car programmed by potentially a third-party company that not run by elected officials, a privately held company that may have their own priorities. And I'm not trying to set this up negatively. I'm trying to set this up pretty objectively. Third-party company, for-profit company, in charge of the software that will guide this, quote, self-driving car, connected, knows about you via your phone, via your account. To me, there's a lot of real concerns there, because now it's just the worst thing that happens now. Well, there's, is they drive you to vote for somebody maybe you wouldn't have voted for. But otherwise, it's ad serving, right? It's advertisement. But like now you're in this machine, and now it can physically take you somewhere that you may or may not really want to go. What are your thoughts on the development of this technology and how algorithms can affect this stuff?
As we use our imaginations, we often think about all the positives that can happen in the circumstance that you just laid out. You can spend more time talking to your spouse. You can read a book. You can play a video game. You can learn a new skill, learn a new language, because you're not thinking about commuting. And a lot of people in the world spend an exorbitant amount of their life in a car, stuck behind the wheel in traffic. So there's a lot of positives that you can see as outcomes. Ultimately, and this is true for any technology, it comes down to execution. And often when you're building something, you don't understand all of the use cases, edge cases, situations in which it can be used for bad, until, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, it's too late and you're reacting. My hope is that in this particular hypothetical situation that you're describing, the platform is considering all the bad things. Just like we have the NTHB in the U.S., which is governing laws as it relates to transportation and vehicles. There's a regulatory body now, obviously, that helps to keep companies in alignment, and maybe that's what happens in the future with the self-driving car.
We got to get some millennials on that board. I every time I've ever seen a government entity interact with a tech company, it's so clear. The senator or whatever had their interns write one round of questions. There are no follow-ups. So Zuckerberg goes, yes, we sell ads to make money. And he goes, thank you, I rescind my time. And that's the fucking end of it.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah, nobody, there's never any real follow-up questions. We need to, honestly, thank God for Katie Porter and AOC, who at least are of the age where they are to understand technology to question these folks appropriately. That's my real concern with that type of stuff is the ethical concerns. I think if you banned human-driven vehicles and you had a network of self-driving cars, yeah, you'd eliminate crashes. But that in between, where you've got some software-driven vehicles, we're not going to say self-driving, we're going to say software-driven vehicles, and you've got some human-driven vehicles, and these cannot. Someone in a 1983 Dodge Colt cannot communicate with this software-driven vehicle. There's the nonverbal communication's not there, and that leads to just all kinds of interesting ethical questions that I just hope are not solved on public roads. You know what I'm saying?
No, and any time you have human-created endeavors, there's going to be mistakes. That's just how everything is. So. My hope is that by the time we get to a place where what you're describing happens, ethics and identifying unintended consequences through active brainstorms and intention is part of how that technology is formed. So it's not just.
So. I just hope these companies have a negative Nancy like me on the fucking boards, because if it's all fucking roses and yay self-driving cars, in my industry, in the automotive industry, it really drives me nuts that self-driving cars are treated as an inevitability, as something that is going to happen in the future, and therefore our work getting there is justified now, when the truth is it will take a lot of energy to get there, and why is it an inevitability? They lean on the safety crutch to me, but the safety crutch is fucking bullshit, because other countries have much safer road standards than we do in the U.S., and it typically involves better road maintenance, better driver training, and better car safety standards. None of these countries have self-driving cars and some of them have like there's fewer road deaths per capita in fucking Vietnam than America. There's like no signage there, and there's families of 9 on a fucking Vespa. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like it's not, we don't need self-driving cars. Whatever driver training they're doing in Vietnam to get them to drive like schools of fucking fish, we need that.
There's just this desire for what people perceive as technological progress, right? And solving a problem that may or may not exist, but someone's going to focus on trying to solve it. So, in some cases, and we talk about this in the design profession a lot, where you have technology in search for a problem,
right?
And depending on what side of the fence that you're on, you might perceive it that way.
Yeah, no, what does that say? Vietnam traffic deaths down 5.3% in 7 months. What's the date on that article, Zach? Recent?
Last year.
Yeah, go Vietnam, dude. Go Vietnam. That school of fish thing, the school of fish thing really works. I don't know why, but it does. I just don't want. What my friend Alex Roy and I talk about a lot is rather than a fully autonomous car in which you would take a nap or whatever, what about parallel autonomy in which you drove the car and the car just became uncrashable or heavily crash resistant? You know what I mean? That to me would not atrophy the skills of drivers, and it would improve road safety in the ways that all these pro AV people say that it would, that an AV would.
What you're describing kind of reminds me of drones. You take a DJI drone, it has all the sensors for crash protection, but you have to be somewhat alert and aware of the surroundings. And they try and make it as easy as possible to fly. They try and make it as easy as possible not to crash into things. You can still do it, but for the most part, the focus is on flying from waypoint to waypoint and not simply just pushing a button and it going to wherever you tapped on the screen.
Yeah, I believe in that type of uncrashability or crash resistance. I think is very good, but to allow people that already take driving kind of for granted and allow them just enough. A lot of the most advanced driver safety systems, be it Cadillac, Super Cruise, or Tesla Autopilot or whatever, they make they're just good enough that you let your guard down enough for something really terrible to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's, I've had a Tesla with Autopilot. I used Autopilot every time I got in the freeway. And
what Tesla did you have?
I had a Model X and a Model 3 Performance.
Okay, cool.
And the main thing that the Autopilot did for me was it just made the commute less stressful because the stop and go, the car could manage. And I was going in a straight line. But anything more than a straight line, and whenever there were merging of different freeways, my hand was on the wheel because there were too many situations in which it felt like the car could make a bad decision, and it was giving me the feedback that it was trying to figure out what to do. And I didn't want to be a passenger along for that ride.
Well, I also think you're into cars. You know what I mean? So I think that I do think, especially in the Tesla community, there is a disconnect between drivers like yourself who buy Teslas, and I totally understand those people. They put those like the unplugged performance like suspensions and shit on their Teslas. Like, I get it. These guys go to track days. Like, cool, man. Like, have fun. They're good. They're a good time. And then there's the people who really hate cars, who love everything about their Tesla that allows them to not feel like they're in a car, like they're in a cell phone with a chair.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm really big on the community surrounding the car. And one of the things that drove me crazy with the Tesla community was those groups of people. Yeah.
Tough community. Yeah. No, that Rich Rebuilds guy, he's cool. I like that dude. And then there's some fucking nutters in the Tesla community. Yeah, I know for sure. You got to get on. What are you driving these days? Because obviously you got the HRE hat. Obviously you're an enthusiast. What are you rolling up there in San Francisco?
Let's see. I have a Huracan Performante.
Oh shit! I didn't know it was like that. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And it has a VF Engineering supercharger on it.
Oh, fuck me. Oh, now we're really talking. Okay. Nick Saran, the homie at VF Engineering.
That's right.
What a fabulous package that is, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. Your videos helped close the deal for me to go down that path.
The famous Lamborghini log video where I was able to stop the car and not crash into a log that was being dragged down the road. Is that yours right there?
Yeah,
at Laguna, going down the corkscrew?
Yeah, that's me.
How
Did
fast is that?
Did you have to short shift turn 5 to not set off the sound meter at Laguna?
Yeah, I was like in 7th gear.
What was your lap time there, though? I mean, that is a really fast car, and now you have a blower on it.
I have no idea what my lap time was. So I couldn't really use the car because it was a low decibel day.
Yeah.
So I was just there to have fun because there were a couple of cars that were quieter than mine. I also have aftermarket exhaust, and those other cars that were stock got black flagged and kicked off the track that day.
Yeah, dude, I got on a low decibel day. I got kicked off the track in a Lotus Evora. Like a Lotus Evora stock, is too and so they booted me off the first session, and they're like, "You're 126 decibels." I'm like, this is a Camry engine. What the fuck? All right,
that's crazy.
So they let me out the next session again, right? But I had to short shift, so I had to take turn 5 through the uphill in 4th at 3,000 RPM instead of in 3rd at 4,500. So you're out of boost, you got nothing. The difference in lap times was 4 seconds. It was terrible. Just that one gear on that one corner because you go up the big uphill. But
I just resigned to the sound person was on the right side of one of the turns. I just went all the way over to the left side, went to the highest gear, and I was just commuting at that point.
Yeah, well, you've seen them guys at Laguna who've got the pipes that turn in, right? They stick on their weird little trumpet pipes that turn away from the sound meters. It's very funny.
Yeah, very big for the GT3 guys.
Yeah, the Cup cars have like some really wonky.
Yeah.
So wait, what are you dailying a Tesla then?
No, I sold the Teslas. I have a love-hate relationship with Tesla. I love them in concepts, and when they work, they're great. Fit and finish is a big deal for me. And
you must have loved that Model X. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun. It's possibly the worst finished $100,000 plus car in the history of cars.
It left stranded twice.
Oh no!
Wow, what happened?
The suspension failed. The air suspension failed. I mean, it looked amazing because it was dropped. Like stance game was.
Man, this would really be cool if I could actually roll up somewhere in it. But the actual fender wells are sitting on the tires right now, and so we're stuck.
Yeah. Were you on the side of the highway next to a Range Rover that had the same problem?
So all right, so fit and finish was a no-go. So then what you got now?
Fit and finish. I have a 97 911 993.
Here we go.
Speed manual transmission. There it is. It's a 4S.
That's very nice.
That's at Sonoma.
Yes, Dantly. I like where your head is at right now. You are making wise choices all around. Is that what you daily drive?
No, my daily is a Dadmobile. I call it the Dadmobile. It's an M5 competition.
Oh, yeah. Well, what a piece of shit.
What a boring car.
What a boring car. No, those things rule. Oh yeah, you got a well-rounded garage. I like that. That's very nice. This is very good, sir. Do you follow now? What is your involvement in weird car Twitter? Is the question. Do you follow all the weird car Twitter people?
I don't think I do. I've been trying to find car Twitter, and I just have Formula One.
Oh, no. So you had to start with my friend Bozy and then work down from him. So my friend Bozy Tatrovic, we should get him, and I also need to get me verified. This is bullshit, by the way. I need a fucking check mark like yesterday. I've been there since 2008, dude. What's up? But my friend Bozy, do you have Bozy's Twitter? He moved. It was Hunabul, but now he's Bozy Tatrovic on Twitter. He's a Serbian. And this dude, he works on race teams, and he works in World Challenge and like endurance racing teams, but he is the nerdiest nerd that ever nerded, and he goes through like patent filings and like all kinds of crazy shit, and he finds his Twitter threads about odd car stuff are the most interesting. I'll send you a list of like 10 or 15 people that are like the hub of weird car Twitter, and you'll be good there. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Yeah, what kind of what publications are you drawn to when you go to read or about cars or learn about cars?
I still read the traditional magazines, Road and Track and Car and Driver, but most of my car news comes from folks like yourself.
Oh, cool.
I spend a lot of time on YouTube.
Nice.
Watching car videos.
Perfect. I'll take all of that. You know what? If you want something interesting to read, I just got my new issue of The Road Rat. If you haven't checked out The Road Rat yet, I really recommend it. It's a quarterly out of England. It's basically like a paperback coffee table book. It's funded and I think co-edited by Guy Berryman, who is the drummer for Coldplay. But it's a really, really, really nice book. Really beautiful photography. They let the photographers breathe a little bit. They give them the pages to work with and long form writing. Great stuff. It's really, really good.
Okay. I need that in my life.
Yo, and Hannah was also like, you got to ask Dantley about RC planes because you fly RC planes.
I do fly RC planes.
Like, are they like race planes or stunt planes? What are they?
They're mostly they're modeled after real military fighter jets.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. So I have a F-18. It's 12 feet long. Twin-engine turbine airplane.
And it's jets.
Yeah, miniature jet engines.
What? That's the cool. Wait. Okay. So now you decide. You wake up on a Saturday. I'm gonna go fly my little F-18. How does your day look when you wake up and decide you want to go fly this thing? What do you have to do?
So I have to load up a trailer with the plane. I have a truck that tows my trailer.
Your plane trailer?
My plane trailer, yeah. I have a few jugs of kerosene or Jet 1A fuel that gets filled to the top. I charge all my batteries. I bring my pre-check flight list, my toolboxes, fire extinguisher, all the ancillary equipment necessary, and then I drive like 2 hours to the middle of nowhere in California.
Like east of San Francisco, like northeast?
Either east or south.
Okay.
You're probably familiar with Buttonwillow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so near the racetrack is a airport. Real airplanes can land there, so it's a pretty long runway. It's 3,000 feet, but it's only for emergencies.
Okay.
So we're flying RC there, and we have a radio. So if any time a plane needs to do an emergency landing, they can land. But that's where we fly. So I leave at like 5 a.m, get there around 8 o'clock in the morning, and start unloading for the next hour.
Oh my God! This is like a whole thing. So how much assembly does the plane require before you can fly it?
Not a whole lot. It's the wings. Since it's in the trailer, it's just the wings. The vertical stabilizers come off if you need to remove them for transportation. But for me, it's just the wings.
What does that weigh?
But then I have to go 70 pounds.
Oh, that's like really light. 12 foot long and weighs 70 pounds?
Yeah.
Holy shit, is that it?
I'm trying to find one. There's a lot of pictures, but
If you
One
go
fifth.
to
What's
YouTube,
the scale? Is it 12 feet? Is that a fifth?
One,
a quarter?
one fifth scale. If you go to YouTube and you search for my name, you'll find a couple videos.
Unfortunately, we can't play YouTube on YouTube.
We can show the
we can show the center card if it exists.
Do you have to get like flight clearance for this? And how fast does it go? This is turbine powered. This is nuts.
Yeah. They go over 200 miles an hour.
What?
That's so rowdy. That's awesome.
And they have to, over 55 pounds, you need a FAA certification.
Okay. So are you flying it first person? Like, do you have an onboard camera that's transmitting to goggles? So you just fly it from the ground?
Line of sight from the ground.
That seems really hard. Is that as hard as it looks like it? Like it looks like it is?
Yeah, because when it's coming at you, the controls are reversed than when it's coming away.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy. What would happen if you just put that thing in the street in front of your house and took off and flew around? Would you get in like a ton of trouble?
I would, yeah. I would probably hurt somebody.
Okay.
But I take it out when I'm getting a new plane set up. I taxi it in my neighborhood, and so all the neighbors and kids come out.
God, they must freak
like,
out.
Why? What is going on with this grown man and his toy airplanes?
So they sell the whole kit, right? You don't have to design the thing, right?
Both. Some of them you build from scratch. Others you can commission the manufacturer to paint the scheme for you. When I had more time before I had kids, I would do all the work myself. There's one of my planes.
Oh wow, that's big.
Fifth scale.
Fifth scale. Yeah. That's a huge. Yeah. And so it's twin engines, right?
This one's a single engine. It's a F104. They used to call
Phantom?
It's
F4. What's the Phantom?
F4. The F4 is a twin engine Navy and U.S. Air Force plane. My dad worked on those.
Fire department, whatever was going on, there's some crazy fire truck going by outside. I apologize for anyone who heard that.
Do you have a regular pilot's license as well?
I don't. I was halfway through my pilot's license when I was considering when I was training to go into the Air Force as a pilot, but I abandoned that and stuck to being a designer.
Wow. But these things look. We were in Switzerland. A friend of mine, where we were on vacation, and we randomly came upon the Swiss RC Jet Nationals at some airfield. Yeah. In Switzerland. It's like down in this, it's like the bottom of a canyon. It's so crazy. And they had planes like this, and they sound like real planes, and these guys were doing crazy maneuvers and stuff and doing really high speed, low level passes, and it was extremely wild to watch these things fly. Have you ever had like a massive crash in one of these things?
I have, yeah. I had a F-14 Tomcat twin engine jet that lost all elevator authority, all pitch authority, and it crashed into the ground. It's on YouTube as well, and it turned into a big mushroom cloud.
Oh, whoa! I mean, I bet the video is awesome. It's unfortunate. The video is awesome. I remember reading a story about a guy who was so into this that he built like a B-52 or something, and it was it was enormous and whatever it was, and he lost his wife and he lost his house. he was so far into this shit that he just lost everything, and on its maiden flight the thing fucking crashed into the trees in an enormous mushroom cloud. Well, now you got nothing. I hope you're happy.
Yeah. I've seen grown men cry from crashes.
But have you ever wanted to strap those jet engines on your feet and do like a wingsuit jump? Because those guys that's the next level.
Not since watching Rocket Man when I was a kid.
The Rocketeer?
The Rocketeer.
The Rocketeer is awesome. I love the very, very underrated movie.
Have you watched Birdman?
I did see Birdman.
The documentary about not the Michael Keaton movie.
Oh, I thought the Michael Keaton movie.
There's a documentary all about base jumping and the evolution of skydiving. Oh. But there was a guy who was working on putting individual fans all over his body to control his pitch and roll in the air. And
how did he die?
He died base jumping, unfortunately.
I'm sorry to laugh at that, but
that sucks.
No, anytime you see someone in a wingsuit shooting the gap in one of those holes or something, you go, okay, you win. You've just won.
Yeah, for sure. They've won. Everything in life they've won.
But how come is it just like a no-no to go first person on the fighter planes at this point, or are people doing it?
I know a lot of people in that community. I don't know of anyone that's doing first person in a jet. they're doing first person in slower planes. The challenge is with the jet, unlike being in the plane, if you mount a fixed camera, you just can't really see. With a jet, it's similar to a real fighter. You have to control your angle of attack. You have to control your airspeed, and you have to understand your glide slope. And if you don't have the telemetry data, then you're kind of flying in a vacuum.
Yeah, so you need much more than just a camera. You would need a camera with a full telemetry overlay, like you get with a drone.
Yeah,
or like
and you don't get the sensation of speed inside because of the limited view. And you want to have a gyro and a head tracking system. So as you're moving your head, the camera is also moving.
Yeah.
And when you're flying at line of sight, you can see, this is, a skill that develops over time, but you can see that the plane is parallaxing faster against the background. So you have enough airspeed. You can see its pitch relative to the runway. You know which direction the wind's blowing. You just don't have any of that information when you're flying first person.
Oh, interesting. So I guess first person really does, it's really optimized for drone flying. It makes a lot of sense.
For sure. Yeah.
Have you moved to drones yet as well?
I have some drones. Yeah. Back, well, I was going to say back in the day, but it's when I worked at Netflix. I used to do some B-roll filming from drones of MX riders.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I would take basically an octocopter up with a camera. My buddy had a red camera on his drone, and we would fly first person as we're chasing these extreme sport athletes.
That's very fun.
Of course, yeah.
Who's the guy, Zach, who does Formula D? Whoever does Formula Drift.
Oh, Matt FPV.
The guy who does the Formula Drift races is fucking nasty, and he makes them shits look like it's a video game. I mean, literally, you're watching a real Formula D race, and it looks like you're doing it like in Forza or something. It looks so sick, and I actually really like with the drone races where they set up some really cool courses. The drone racing's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. That. It's a lot of fun.
I can't wait until we have full-size drones that take humans around. I think flying cars is horseshit, but I think drones that can carry humans, I think, is actually, because those are flown by software. And you don't need to be some amazing pilot to fly one of those, right?
I want to correct real quick. It was Johnny FPV.
Oh,
I don't want to get yelled at by Instagram. Johnny FPV.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
You might get the flying drone with a person in it before you have full autonomous driving.
For sure, 100%. Oh yeah, here, check this out, Dantly. Can you see this Instagram?
I can.
This is fucking sick. I mean,
he's really good.
Yeah. Well, is that Forsberg or Turk?
That's Turk. That's Turk.
Turk and Forsberg at Willow Springs.
GT 430 or whatever.
Yeah. Super sick.
That's amazing.
This dude's flying is so good, dude. He's like literally.
I think I follow him.
Cars are tandem drifting, and this guy's doing 360s around them at like 80 miles an hour. It's awesome.
Yeah, that takes a lot of skill.
So awesome. I'm going to be at that track in 2 weeks doing I'm driving the rear wheel drive Huracan Evo at Willow Springs.
Oh, nice.
In a couple weeks.
I love the front bumper on that car.
Yeah, it's cool. We had the regular Huracan Evo, the all-wheel drive one at Performance Car of the Year last year, and the front end grip is just insanity. The speed is right there. The cars they're just nuts. They're nuts. Those cars. The capabilities are off the charts, and then you add your the VF supercharger like you've got, which is just that seamless extra 200 horsepower. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It is insane. I love every second of it, though.
I hope you drive that car. I hope you're not a little bitch about miles and you actually drive that car.
I've had the car almost 3 years. It has 13,000 miles on it.
Oh yeah. You are a driver, sir. That is very good. Nicely done. That's not a garage queen by any means.
No, definitely not.
And if are you in the peninsula? Are you in Silicon Valley?
I'm in the South Bay.
So you've got those roads. I mean,
every weekend.
The peninsula roads they're so good. They're so good. Oh, did Dantley freeze? Oh, there he is. He came back. You there?
I'm back.
Okay, cool. We're good. We good. Zach, do we have any questions come through that are from the fans that are worthwhile? We're doing this one live, Dantley, so we've got some folks on YouTube who may have a thing or two to say. Anything else?
So far, everyone just says welcome back and hello.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll continue. Do you think? What do you think the real effect was, if you can comment on it, of going from the 140 characters to the 280 characters on Twitter? Was that just like, we need people to be able to say a little bit more here, or add a little nuance, or what?
That decision happened before I joined Twitter, but my understanding is, the team was seeing what our customers were trying to do in terms of communicating on the platform, and they listened, and they made it happen based off of feedback.
Did you hear? I've heard rumors that there's going to be some kind of an option to possibly subscribe to specific Twitter creators for possibly a fee. Is that a thing that is real? Can we talk about that, or is that
I don't really know what you're talking about.
Says I have no idea what you're talking about, and or no comment. All right, that's fair.
We'll edit this.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think, for the record, I think it would be a good idea, and there are people who have given me lots of information, knowledge, entertainment on Twitter that I would happily donate a few dollars to and I buy their books. You should. If you follow someone on Twitter who you like and they write a book, you should buy it.
I can say I also think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite followers in terms of the more historians and the more social justice type people? Because I like to follow those people too.
Social justice. I follow a lot of people on Twitter who speak up about issues that are happening in tech. One of which is Erica Joy. She has a lot of brilliant things to say about tech, and so most of my focus has been in that realm.
I follow her, and I follow a lot of I found it really interesting how Twitter is used for protest organizing. I think it works really well for that, but I also found it very interesting how fast it can get muddled up, because it could get muddled up. I found myself there were some folks right after the demonstrations that turned into tear gassing that then turned into riots in Santa Monica, and our friend Tim was there, and he was at a peaceful demonstration, and the first hint of violence was tear gas, for the record. Not someone smashing anything or anything like that. It was straight protest into tear gas. And so but what I saw very quickly after that were people posting images of unrelated things and trying to link them together, either to make their point or whatever, and it was just I found myself caught in the trap of outrage, and even sharing things that turned out to not be true later. And I heard people with bigger voices than me repeat those untruths on their show, not because of any malicious intent, but because it seemed real and plausible. In the moment. It's tough.
It is tough. It's tough, and narratives can be formed unintentionally and intentionally, and it's a challenge.
Yeah. Is there, I don't want to say I don't want to get into the public utility conversation necessarily, but I almost feel when Zuckerberg went to Congress and really made all of them look kind of dumb, actually. I hate to say it, but I almost feel he was practically begging them to regulate him. He was almost kind of I don't even know what to do here. Can y'all give me some regulations and I'll work with them? It seemed like that, or he was really just smugging his way through it, which is also possible. I don't know. What do you think can be done from tech outward to fix this potential problem?
That's a really tough question. Trying to provide context and connect the dots is a possibility. There's been talk of using blockchain technology so you can have a trail, so you understand basically the imprint and footprint of digital assets, so you understand if it was manipulated, what is it associated with, what is it connected with, and even giving people moments to pause to ask the question, is this real? Like, let's pause the outrage for just a brief second. And there's experiments that, many companies are running, one of which we have on our platform, which is asking if you actually read the article that you're about to share.
That is so good.
So before you hit retweet and it goes, have you actually read this article?
Yeah.
That is great.
That feature is not. Is that active right now? Is that an active feature?
It's an experiment that we have.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
I haven't seen that yet in my personal retweeting. Although I don't know if I've retweeted anything political recently. But I'm going to see if that comes up for me. I'll try it. I'll try that and let you know.
Two days ago, a friend of mine said, we were arguing about something. He goes, I read an article, and he stopped himself and he went, well, I read the headline, and I started laughing so hard. I was like, you fucking moron.
It's hard to keep your attention span. Are we concerned that on top of everything else that our actual attention spans as a human race are getting shorter because of this type of technology?
I mean, I'm concerned. I have 2 small kids, and they love their devices. So I think about this a lot, just in terms of raising little humans. And when we work on products, we think about being intentional and considering how the products that we're producing might cause harm, both in unintentionally or other third parties might try to do bad on our service. But attention, time that people are spending on these platforms, mindless consumption, all those things are very much top of mind. I think especially these days for most people that work on technology, you just can't avoid thinking about this. And the 20-year-olds that were building this technology 10 years ago now have kids.
Yeah.
And they have to be considerate because they're seeing the impact that it's having on their kids.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. I think it was funny in the documentary, The Social Doctrine, to hear the people who are talking about how all the bad decisions they made go, I'm actually addicted to Instagram right now. Also, I'm actually addicted to online shopping on Amazon. And I feel like in my own personal life, made a major milestone when I removed all social media apps from my phone. I still have them, but I use Instagram on my desktop. I use Twitter on my desktop computer, and I use all of my desktop. So I have to and it's a desktop computer, not a laptop computer. So I have to physically sit in one chair, and I don't limit the amount of time or anything I'm there, but I have to be sitting at that desk in that chair. Otherwise, and it makes a big difference because it doesn't follow you around and it doesn't fill the gap in between every single social interaction. And so you're not just, I'm not constantly going for that hit every 30 seconds. And I mean, I'm telling you, I noticed a difference within a day or two. I mean, it was amazing. And I also stopped getting carpal tunnel-y hand cramps too from fucking doing that, Yeah.
I mean, it's a really compelling lifestyle change.
Yeah.
The research team at Twitter is actually going to start studying people who are doing this to understand the.
I'll sign up for that to study what happens to people once they remove the app from their phone. I would 100% sign up for that study. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I feel a lot better. The one thing I do miss things, I don't miss, I wouldn't say I'm missing them, Bob, you know what I mean? But I do actually miss some stuff. Be do you see that thing that whoever posted? And I do realize that I do miss things in the gaps in between, but like I said, I wouldn't say I'm missing them,
Yeah.
It's I think, especially for a content creator, my brain is not equipped at all to handle the unfiltered thoughts of as many people as have access to me directly through social media. You know,
nobody's is, man. I mean, if you look at like
some people do it really well. Some people, you know, they can have 1 million followers, and mentally they're okay with all of them doing whatever it is they're going to do. You know,
I think that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Those people are probably like Johnny FPV, where there's like a small percentage of people who like are really amazing at flying FPV video.
Yeah.
The rest of us are like just fumbling along.
That's true. The superhuman social media user that is just like whatever, you know, I guess.
I think you're not in the head of that person, so you look at them and you go, wow, they handle this so well.
That's
and
true.
They might not. You know,
that's true.
like,
they might be drinking like a fifth of Jack Daniels every night.
Yeah,
it's totally
Rogan
true.
said he stopped reading the comments because he's like, it just gets too combative in there.
Yeah.
So he
has very good
huge
self-control.
Audience, yeah.
Rogan doesn't even know the name of the person who sells ads for him. Like that's how separated he is from not only his audience but his business. And I'm envious. I am. I hopefully one day I could be there. Dantly, I really appreciate your hour on a Friday night. I know you've got a family, and we will let you get back to them. But how is my wife as an employee? What can we talk about here? The last few minutes, we should make sure that she leaves this listening to this in the car feeling extremely uncomfortable.
Hannah is amazing. She's fucking amazing. You probably know we worked together at 2 companies, so. Yeah, she was amazing at that company. She was amazing at Twitter. We were super excited to have her, and when she expressed interest, we were like jumping up and down that she was considering coming to Twitter. So we're just thrilled.
It's awesome. I'm glad that I'm glad she's in a place. She said she's found the first couple of weeks interesting. Although, I mean, I've never really worked in like a real office environment, and so I don't really know the dynamics of it, although I learn from watching her. But like from her, because she is like so social, and she's like evolved to like master the office dynamic with her presentations, and like everybody loves her, and she makes like PowerPoints that are like actually fun, and she can present to these big groups. Well, to start this new job from like, all right, well, on Tuesday, you're going to turn your laptop on and you're at a new job now. Like, you're going to be, you're in the guest bedroom of our house. Like, it's just it's fucking strange, man. Yeah, it's really strange. It's one thing to go from an office job to then, do that same job working from home. But to start a brand new job just like from a bedroom in your house, like that's so weird.
Speaking of her being at home, that's how I came to know that you and her were together, because she was on at another company. She was on video conference, and you had the track. She had the track silhouettes behind her.
Oh yeah, the racetrack maps on our living room wall.
And I had recognized those from your show.
Like, did I see those in a commercial for ball powder? Yeah, a couple of people at the other company saw the racetracks on the wall in the background of her on video chat, and did put it together. Yeah. There was a couple fans that came out. That was cool. Yeah, it was fun. She is like, I'm very lucky because she is very smart, very thoughtful, organized. She makes more money than me, which I tell everybody. I love it. I'm not insecure about it at all. It means we can go on great vacations when my passport isn't worth fucking toilet paper anymore. My mother, who I love, sent me an email this morning that went around to her, boomer friends, that was like 8 great underwater hotels. I'm like, Mom, what the fuck are you doing? You know we can't go anywhere. What are you talking about? Oh, great. There's an underwater hotel in the Canary Islands. I'll be sure to fucking visit that in 2025.
Take a paddle boat.
Oh, man.
We had 2 car-related super chat questions.
All right, let's do them.
Because the first one's going to be easy.
Okay.
Jason Carey says he misses driving a fun car, but he needs something to carry his gear. 4 to 5 Pelicans. Should he get rid of his slow Outback and trade it for a $12,000 Fiesta ST, or keep it and buy a Miata?
No, get a Fiesta ST. That'll hold your shit.
Yep.
We've put.
Isn't Miata always the answer? Isn't that the...
A Miata's always the answer unless you work in the film and television or camera industry and have to haul Pelican cases around.
If you have to carry 2 backpacks, it's not the answer. I had one. Yeah. Trust me.
Miatas are usually the answer, but not if you got stuff.
Second question is, for a daily driver on Long Island, Civic Type R or Hyundai Veloster N? Firmness doesn't bother me, but rev hang does. Lots of stop-and-go traffic.
Both good cars. Honestly, both good cars. Both equally fun.
The Veloster, the new one, is going to have a DCT.
Yeah, there's that. The 20-inch wheels on the Civic Type R on Long Island would make me nervous because there's a lot of fucking potholes and hard edges there, and you could bend a wheel pretty easily.
Yeah.
I'd worry about that a little less with the Veloster. But they're pretty, I mean, assuming like you're not paying way over for the Type R, I think the Type R is a little more car. Little more. Yeah. Dantley, have you driven either of these cars, Veloster and or Type R? You want to chime in?
I haven't driven a Type R, no. I used to be a pretty hardcore Civic and Integra driver back in the 90s. When I
nice.
But I haven't driven the new cars.
You used to street race?
Did I hear you say when you used to street race? Where was this happening?
Southern California, Inland Empire, Glendale area.
Nice.
I actually got my first professional gig in design because I was building websites for tuning companies in exchange for car parts.
Oh, hilarious. What can you say what companies?
I don't even remember their names anymore.
Was this like, before the Fast and the Furious, the racing was down in SoCal?
Yeah, it was, I had a Integra with the HKS turbo, Volk racing,
hell yeah.
DC headers. And yeah, that's what we did on the weekends.
That was probably great. I bet you that car, if it's still alive, that car, period modded, is going to be worth something.
It was, I traded in for a Audi S4.
Oh, that's a good trade, though. I like that trade.
And it was an Avant.
Rad.
Very good trade. I like where you're at.
Yeah, that car was stolen within an hour that the dealership put it out and stripped for parts.
The Integra was?
Yeah.
They didn't know what they had.
The dealer put it on the lot, and it's like, yep, thanks, yoink.
They put it on one of those lifted pedestals.
Great, we can get underneath this thing right away. Just pull the exhaust right off this fucker. Like, here, we just put it on a lift for you guys. You're good.
Made it easy.
How do you do control boost back then? Like, turbos they've been around, but did you run an MBC or did you have like a standalone you put on there?
It was all just an integrated system, and you just dealt with the lag. It was just dealt with it. And maybe you added some nitrous to push you
Jeez,
along.
Man, this is no fucking joke.
Yeah, he's been around.
This is real serious. 90s
Didn't
street
say
racing?
like you're opening a shop too now? Are you also opening a shop? You got like a lot going on.
I'm a silent partner in a shop. Yeah.
Oh, is it up there?
That's cool.
It's up here. Yeah, where my business partner is previously was a master technician for Porsche and Lamborghini. Some brains behind the operation. And he had a stint at BMW for a good while, and he used to race Porsches back in the day.
Oh, there you go.
So our goal, aside from just servicing cars, is, and you probably hear this a lot, we love cars from the 80s and 90s, and our hope is that we can restore one and make it a really good driver's car.
Well, I'm hearing it more and more, certainly. I mean, between the guys like Gunther, down here who are going really hard at it. And we just, my friend Vinny works at Curated in Miami, which is doing 70s, 80s, and 90s supercar restorations. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we are of the right age that this is going to be, that's going to be the thing. What's the name of the shop? Do you want to plug it?
It's DPM Auto Group.
DPM?
Yeah,
DPM Auto Group. And it's in San Francisco area?
It's in Mountain View. Yeah.
Oh, so cool. Nice.
40 minutes from San Francisco.
We need to get your internet presence up. We must find you. Zach is working on it. Oh, there it is. There. Oh, you're on the first page. You're all right. You're on the first page. You're like the sixth result on the first page. There you go. Oh, is that your M5 on the front of the page there, the gray one?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's a good color though.
It is a good color.
I like that one. Awesome, man. DPM Auto Group. If you're in the, if you're up there, Dantley is a car enthusiast. This man has been around. Thank you for your time, dude. I really appreciate it. I'd love to show you the shop next time you come down here. It's a pretty cool spot. If you need to send a car down here for a trip or anything, we got you covered.
I would love to. My buddies up here want you to start a shop in the Bay Area.
Well, the next one, I think, it's got to be driving distance from LA. That's the one thing I don't want to do with shop number 2 is give myself a flight that I have to take. So we'll see. But I mean, the model only works where there's certain conditions that apply, and the Bay Area, certain spots of it, those conditions certainly do apply. Yeah. Cool. Good on you, Rob, in the HRE hat as well. Those guys will really appreciate that.
It's a great company.
Yeah, follow Dantly on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Dantley.
Just Dantley. Is this what happens when you work there? You just get the first name handles. That's sick.
I got it at the beginning. I was OG.
Oh, really? Wow. You've had that the whole time? I was going to say, did fucking you call up Jack an eminent domain someday for that Twitter handle? And listen, we're going to need to talk about this blue check mark situation. The smoking tire needs to be verified. Can we make this happen?
I think we can figure out ways of having a conversation after this.
Call the guy. Make the check mark happen. We're good. Right. Thanks, Stanley. It was great having you. Thank you for everyone joining us live and to everyone listening at home or in their cars later. That's our show. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally something to say. Have a good weekend, everybody.